Greetings all my fond fellow questers after truth. You could call this a part 2 of my most recent upload, but I'd personally rather call it an addendum, as its core point is one I'd considered tacking on to the end of that other video, but at the last minute decided that it was worth its own dedicated segment. That point is that I believe wokeness, at least in America, has its narrative roots, not to be confused for its ideological roots, in the fringes of the online rationalist movement of the 2010s and early 20-teens, whose original aim was to logically and rationally refute the illogical and anti-scientific biblical creationist cult possessing the plurality of American institutions at the time. And so, progressives of today being so fervently anti-Christian is just a convenient holdover from this older point in the culture war. Convenient for who is another topic in itself for another video. Sort of like how the Sith, in the old Star Wars EU, explicitly modeled their own philosophy as a direct contradiction to the Jedi's altruistic code. Or if you prefer a non-fiction example, communism arose as a direct response to industrial capitalism, or how white supremacy in the States arose as a direct consequence of the abolitionist movement gaining political traction in the North. You'll note the common denominator in all these examples is that though their initial divergence from the status quo might have been motivated by abstract notions of morality or philosophy, by the end, their war was nothing more than an ideological engine for grabbing power, which you'll recall from several of my other videos, merely means the ability to do. To have power is to have the ability to do something. To say, that is within my power, only means I can do that. Which is why I also say that power does not corrupt, only enables. Put simply, wokeness is the antithesis of Christianity. But just like how the Sith and the Jedi remained inescapably linked through their orders' shared definitional dependence on the Force, so too do the communists and capitalists, conservatives and liberals, Christians and progressives all remain internally united, though externally opposed sides of the same sociological coin. Now, if you're still with me after all that, you might be wondering what any of it has to do with the title. Well, you see, I genuinely can't recall the last time I was vehemently preached at by a Christian. If I were to hazard a guess, it was probably around 2014, 2015, right around the same time as we saw the political compass needle starting to flip to the opposite side of the coin. At the time, I had no good way to explain this. But now my personal theory is that as a new generation came of age with access to the digitized totality of human knowledge, they started to spread the seeds of ideas like secular rationalism, atheism, and nihilism across the burgeoning social media webway. But as is typical for human communication, certain facets and elements of those ideas proved more trendy than others. In particular, those elements which appealed most strongly to human emotions like anger and the egotistical need to signal virtue. And remember, we're talking about young people here, mostly late teens and early 20-somethings, and we all know how good young people are at regulating their emotional impulses, especially when put under the exponentially inflated pressure of a globalized social network. But how did this turn into worshipping science? As I've said before and elsewhere, it's not religion that radicalizes people, but the reverse. Religiosity, meaning the tendency for people to infuse their own identity and ego into an occupational subject, is a biologically inherited trait, meaning that a fanatical convert from, say, Islam to Judaism, or from Christianity to atheism, or vice versa, is going to be just as dogmatic and zealous at point B as they were at point A, and it's not unique to religion or politics. Anyone who's been immersed in real nerd culture knows that every fandom absolutely has its toxic elements, the gross overuse of the term by the media class as an ideological slur notwithstanding. There's always that one asshole who takes things that little bit too far, that one gamer who takes his roleplay or the rules too seriously, or that one obsessed fanfic writer who treats their OC like a holy order from the Almighty himself. This, I now believe, was the downfall of the atheist skeptic sphere. An influx of zealous converts took over the upper echelons and, when fed by the woke cultural zeitgeist taking hold over the internet grapevine, became the woke postmodern progressive nutcases we all know and loathe today. That is why trust the science has become the new have faith, because it literally means exactly that. Where I used to be told I couldn't question God, now I'm being told I can't question science. which of course directly contradicts what I was always taught science is and how it's supposed to work. Science is not truth. It is a method meant to help us locate reality through the obscuring quagmire of our own humanity. And as such, I will say now, as I said back then, anyone who claims to have perfect knowledge or to be perfectly informed on any subject whatsoever is either a fool or a liar or both, and my own experience favors the third option. There's a popular truism among the scientifically literate that says science can never prove anything in the positive sense, but that it can only ever disprove things. And this is so. Science, by design, is never truly settled. The door for questions, though it may be shut, is never locked because consensus does not equal reality. This is what separates science from religion and philosophy, and it's why fundamentalist sorts, irrespective of their politics, hate it with such vehement passion. The human mind is a truly wondrous machine. However, its Achilles heel has always been the unknown. As Lovecraft said, the oldest and most powerful emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and most powerful kind of fear is fear of the unknown. We hate ambiguity. We hate not knowing things. This is why any competently directed horror movie never shows you the monster. For nothing any art department could conjure up could ever hold a candle to what the audience imagines might lurk beyond the edge of that ominous shadow. But as the late Christopher Hitchens taught us with the criminally underutilized Hitchens razor, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and so that which is asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. And on that note, I think that's my 2 cents spent for the now. Let me know what you think in the usual places. Remember to check out my books, vote in the community poll, etc., etc. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, and remember, hope is not a bandage, it is a blindfold. Good luck out there.